Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting Propagandacast with me, your host, Imperial Dane, featuring today a Monday Novice Fight. Yes, a Monday Novice Fight on Langraskaya Winter. We shall be watching Sloche fighting for the Soviet Union for the 100th Rifle Division in the south. Opposing him shall be People. What an absolutely nondescript name. Fighting, though, for the Germans, nonetheless. Folks here, fighting for the Reich. Fighting for the, I don't know, 95th Infantry Division. And there we go, conscripts popping out. Point there being secured. So far, so good. Nothing deeply exciting happening. Of course, a reminder that next Sunday Reserves Challenge. Usage of either relief infantry or rapid conscription, depending on the army you're playing. Mark the replay Sunday Reserves Challenge and the email when sending it in to make it easier for me to sort of keep track of. Best one, or perhaps off either side, will be casted then on Sunday. As again, if I receive a good Soviet one and I receive a good German one with a relief infantry and rapid conscription, I will utilize both of them and try to get 2 replays up that day. So again, if you have some interest in that, send in some good ones, and a lot of them. A lot. Conscripts, though, heading out there. Interesting to note, he's focusing up on the west-hand side, whereas the pioneers, securing the more vital resources on the right-hand side, are being unescorted for the time being. And what is he doing? Did he decide, oh wait, I have to take that one, so I'll just cancel this one, waste all the time there? Make up your mind, people. I know this is a Monday Novice Fight, but you know, put some effort into it. And then he moves back. I mean, indecision in the first few minutes of a match is not necessarily the best sign to start out with. And we're already noting here that the Russian player is basically now taking a lot more ground. Partly because, again, I mean, it isn't helping that people can't decide what he wants to do. And apparently can't decide on a slightly more sensible name rather than persons in plural. It sounds really awkward, you know. People are doing this, people are doing that. People are charging forward in the name of the Reich. Oh dear, sounds like some terrible people. They're going there for eliminations. Nice move there by Sloche, or Sloche. And it is moving on to support. Pioneers standing about doing nothing. Splendid work. Might want to get into that building you're standing right next to, perhaps, people. Come on, Leute. Mach schnell! How about doing something there, man? I mean, there's no point in sending into the Monday Novice Fight if your basic problem comes down to not popping people into houses when there's a good reason for doing it. Conscripts here running with MD42. Bloody close on making it past there, but for some reason he actually didn't ooh-rah, which is what you'd usually do in those occasions. Instead, he actually allowed his troops to be mowed down point blank by the MD42. That's not really something that should be happening either, in particular since poor Heinz here will be covered in blood. Ach, they never told me it would be this bloody fighting a war. And I didn't bring my handkerchief or a spare uniform. And it is moving over. How about taking that point again? Ooh, mining there. That's actually good. That's lovely to see from Sloche. Another grenadier squad appearing for people. Let's see if we can actually do something sensible with it. Conscripts retreating. Realizing that perhaps this fight could not be won sensibly, he retreats. Trying to preserve as much manpower as possible. Good. A nice move there. Special Rifle Command going up. Pioneers need reinforcement, taking up going on. He's got 60 munitions, so in theory he could go for light machine gun, of course, Special Rifle Command, and he of course doesn't know there's a Special Rifle Command, could of course indicate a scout car, so there will be some peril with going for the light machine gun Gewehr, if that is the case. Dun dun dun. Point secured, like the mechanized company up. Point there secured. So far, no heavy casualties suffered by the Germans. Only a few pioneers were killed. Heading up there towards the center. Good, good. Combat engineers standing out for no reason. 2 squads of combat engineers, by the way. And an early fuel cache, so clearly Sloche has something long-term in mind. People is being a bit too passive here. Scout car rushing ahead. Not really a good positioning. He would want to actually point it a bit more so it covers more there. I mean, there's a huge spot here which is pretty much useless for covering. Grenadiers here getting outnumbered, up close. No idea what people insist on finding this. Although seems to have some luck against the conscripts. Right flank seems to have gone very immobile. Grenadiers standing out here. Not entirely sure why he's insisting on there. Grenadiers being equipped with a light machine gun. That's definitely going to win, particularly with another Grenadier squad appearing. And of course the close range the conscripts do have to the light machine gun equipped Grenadiers. So I suppose that's something. Pioneers move down there. Panzer Grenadier squad started out with, and there we go. Scout car moving up. Conscripts also moving up. People playing very passively, of course, not really gaining much ground, which is trying to make it easier for Sloche to just push forward and take ground. Scout coming up, going to hit that MD-42. Panzer fire's going off. Panzer Grenadier squad arriving. Units standing out here doing nothing. Grenadiers should have been retreated. And there we go. Scout car coming here, fire from the machine gun. Combat might want to consider getting out, but no, another squad rushes forward, taking up the attention of the machine gun. That is good. Another company squad moving up. And immediately Heinz lights on fire. A quick rifle grenade and... ooh! Flamethrower tank bursts into flames, crisping the entire squad except poor Yuri, who has to live with the stench of his friend for the rest of his life, burned into his uniform. And there we go, another flamethrower tank burst. No idea why insisting hanging that long up in front of MG42, but conscript squad flanks and saves the day. Sort of, although a bit too late. But the scout car actually made it back, so that's some news here for Sloche, or something.
Pioneer squad! Grenadiers here! Grenadier squad at full strength!
Leichte Panzerspielwagen coming. Panzer Grenadiers did arrive on the field with their Sturmgewehrs. Moving up to secure the western fuel pump, but note, currently Sloche is getting a lot of fuel. He's got 2 of the fuel points, plus of course a fuel cache. Clearly Sloche has some longer term goals in mind. A deeper strategy, that is good to see. We are finally seeing here that people is getting some movement into him, actually doing something. Getting another Panzer Grenadier squad, sniper out now. And popping that one into the scout car for a bit of pressure. And all-rowing forth from that spot. I'm not entirely sure why I chose that particular timing there for it. Conscripts are moving up to flank the Panzer Grenadiers while the scout car with snipers moving up from the south. Conscripts, though, took a rather heavy beating. They were rather on their own and were unexpectedly caught in a bit of a crossfire here between the German scout car and the Panzer Grenadier squad, which I imagine caused some consternation.
We have been assigned fresh Panzer Grenadiers.
And the pioneers on the left have been entrapped, but looks like they will successfully escape. And there we go, Mechanized Armor Compania, again with the fuel cache. He's clearly been rushing forwards with that in mind. At the same time, though, he's suddenly all of a sudden shot up all of his fuel points. Though he still has the cache no matter what. And again, good placement. It was close to the base. In fact, it's one of the closest points. I mean, it's definitely going to be easier to defend, and it's going to be harder for the opponent to actually deal with, which is something some players don't seem to think about when it comes to actually placing down fuel caches, actually placing them in some considerably not so well thought out points. Generally, you always want the caches first initially as close and safe as to your base as possible. You don't want them to be easily reachable for your opponent. More light machine guns, scout car leading the way for some other grenadiers. Perhaps more following up. MD-42 covering here. Again, the people seem to need to think about the placement of his machine guns. I mean, note here, they're not going to burst through the hedgerows themselves. So, there's a huge part of this machine gun arc which really doesn't achieve much, and he leaves a huge blind angle up here, so this is actually a pretty poor placement of his, or facing of his machine gun. And you know, he's already done that once. He needs to actually work on that for future reference. But popping over here to Sloche. No doctrine from him either. 3 conscript squads. Oh, never mind. 2 conscript squads. So that was actually a bit of a loss there. But making progress. The response from people is a bit lackluster, to put it mildly. And there we go, counterattack going up. MG42 moving in. Grenadiers with light machine guns from different angles, though. Snipers in the scout car proved to be a problem. There we go, HU-85. Grenadiers want to retreat. Ruksu, come on, they're low on health, low on numbers, people. I keep feeling like I'm referring to my viewers when I say people. I'll call him Heinz. Ought to forget choosing such a silly name. And Heinz is clearly making some mistakes here. Grenadiers need to retreat. Come on, Heinz. Unit preservation. Unit preservation matters a lot. Again, know when to hold your ground. Know when to get the bloody hell out of there. But having gained access to both munitions points, that's always something. And you should be careful about leaving the scout car range in front of the Soviet scout car with its 50 caliber in front. Support armor core up for Heinz. And an SU-85 being rushed forward here by Sloche. MG42 needs to retreat. Scout car down. Come on, Heinz. And 2 squads of Panzer Grenadiers now left to hold up the front here for the 95th Infantry Division. Apparently some Panzertruppen have been sent forward. One quickly gets sniped. And pulling back, retreating the fully healthy squad with no losses, keeping the depleted one on the field. Not entirely sure what's going through Heinz's head right there.
Waiting for your command. We are losing territory. You have tank destroyer here. Conscripts here.
I took it.
M3 scout car here.
Assault gunner ready for action.
And Raketen Panzerbüchse up. Which seems to be his response. Perhaps not going to be the most effective. Followed up by a Pak 40. But we are now seeing or Sloche or whatever making good progress. Having thrown back Heinz's rather disorganized front line. And of course killed 2 Grenadier squads without Heinz actually doing much to stop it. Which is rather terrible. Snipers continue. And gain veterans who won, so well done for these ladies getting a right. Grenadiers moving up, will be able to get off a Panzerfaust in time. Nope. Bit of a shame that. But the Russians are pretty much securing the right hand side of the map. That is bad news. And he's trying to hunt down a scout car with snipers in it using Grenadiers. I don't really think Heinz has fought this one out fully. Instead, he's just going to be wasting Grenadiers. Come on, retreat. There we go. Panzer Grenadiers standing about doing nothing. Pioneers standing about doing nothing. Lots of units standing about doing nothing. And there we go, in fact, veteran T2 for this scout car, increasing weapon damage considerably. These Grenadiers also need to retreat, and now the SU-85 is also moving in. Come on. Heinz, unit preservation. There's nothing to be gained by this. Instead, he's actually hanging about trying to Panzerfaust. Conscripts moving up. And of course, the upgraded Panzer Grenadier is not really going to do much. The conscripts of Poundy Sloche nonetheless loses all courage and retreats, beating a very brave retreat.
It is cold back here with the gun. Enemy forces are neutralizing a sector.
sure what these Panzer Grenadiers are intending to do. Again, he doesn't quite seem to, be keeping in mind what's around here or what he's attacking with. And there we go, getting that. Panzer's moving up. Scout pack also being moved in rather aggressively without sufficient support. I can't help but feel this is a very bad idea. And by bad idea, I do mean bad. Get the scout car with the snipers in them, or at least retreat the Panzer Grenadiers. And of course the pack is in trouble as well due to the scout car and its snipers. Main gun destroyed. But that's not going to help with the sniper inside. Pack needs to get out of there. Oh! Apparently Friedrich here shot a lucky bullet, setting the entire scout car ablaze. What you get for American engineering, I suppose. And a Panzer IV has arrived to support the 95th Infantry Division. Wondrous news, going to flank the H-85. Pack 40 though still needs to get away before the engineers clear it out. And there we go, Panzer IV got it. Another H-85 moving in. Panzer IV needs to get away. Get away. Fuel cache got wrecked. And we actually see now that all of a sudden Sloche has actually suffered quite heavily. He's lost several of his infantry squads in rather short succession. In fact, he's pretty much lost everything. And of course, Heinz here displayed some better unit preservation early on in the match, thus not losing a lot of Grenadier squads. He could probably actually have pushed for a victory right now by simply moving forward across all fronts. But sadly, he did not do that. Instead, there's still a chance for Sloche here to make a comeback. Popping smoke though, at least he's learned that. That is lovely. That is good. In that way he's at least trying to preserve some of his units and doing so somewhat cleverly. Now here Sloche though is making a mistake. He's actually rushing the H-85 ahead as a tank, actually exposing in this case being ambushed by Panzer Grenadiers with their Panzerschreck. The tank terror. So that, on the other hand, was less well done. Panzer IV will need repairs. Good, making progress all across the front line. Plenty of resources. No doctrine chosen. He might want to consider that. And certainly he could go for either of these three. H-85 making a dash for it, taking the roads. German infantry advancing. Pack 40 for some reason also moving up. Combat engineers getting a bit too eager and sticking their heads out a bit too far. Looks like Sloche is being successfully pushed back now by Heinz by some miracle. Panzer IV receiving repairs. Lots of upgrades all of a sudden going on for the conscripts. Curious about the timing for this. And also getting the Katyusha to support.
Conscripts can now throw Molotovs.
And this MD-42 needs to be moved closer to the fire, otherwise it's going to freeze to death. And I would suggest pulling back that Pack 40 for reinforcement, since that's down to 2 men, very low health. Not really an ideal situation. At the same time, the troops he has covering it are freezing to death. Come on, Heinz. And there we go, conscripts flanking the Pack 40 in the building. That's pretty much the doom of that crew. And we are seeing here that Heinz is rushing for the buildings with his infantry, although already some of them have suffered losses due to the cold. This is not really encouraging. Ooh, Molotov. Apparently the Russians have decided to warm up the fascists a bit with a Molotov. How nice.
I hope the rockets haven't frozen to the rails. We are losing territory.
Still no doctrine. He's got 5 command points. He's got plenty of munitions. Come on, Sloche. Make a choice. Mother Russia demands it. And these Grenadiers need to retreat. Come on before the Molotov takes them out. Retreat! Retreat! That was bloody well close.
The rockets haven't frozen to the rails.
And time to pop over to people. Also time for the mid-game analysis. Current situation that currently the Russians are pushed rather heavily back. Rather heavily back. In fact, they are on their back foot very much. They've lost a lot of units. And they don't have a lot of ground. And they don't necessarily have a lot of fuel. So something needs to be done. And one of the things he should do is get a doctrine out right. Use something he can actually utilize his munitions on. And push back hard. And that needs to be done quickly. He also needs to sight on one spot to strike. And strike hard. He needs to deliver some damage. Cause some casualties. For Heinz, he's actually now holding most of the map. He's also got a Pack 43, but it's a pretty rubbish placement of the Pack 43. Considering how much of the map he's holding, he could easily have placed it much further forwards. Instead, what's happening here, he's placed up a nice no-go zone, but it's only going to hold a very less important part of the map. It's not going to help him protect the center, victory point, or anything. It's not going to help keep the opponent contained. All it's going to do is keep his opponent away from his base, which is not really his current concern. It's going to be keeping him contained. So that right here is a bit of a strategic blunder from Heinz. I mean, he's got a Pack 43, great, but the placement of it is pretty much useless at the time being. So again, up here, somewhere around, would have been considerably better. He's also gone for festering armors. Of course, there's definitely some choices, including a command panzer as opposed to the option for some railway artillery, but he also needs, of course, to work on preserving his units a bit. I mean, he's suffered quite some infantry losses, and again, now it's actually about, keep on pushing and keeping the opponent contained, which means mines, more units, and, not losing what you already have. If he can do that, he can probably win this fight rather easily now. His opponent is contained, so if he can keep up him keeping contained and keep applying pressure, he can do it. But it might be hindered because clearly Heinz is a bit confused as how he's supposed to do that, since he places Pack 43 all the way back here. And again, it's barely going to reach the victory point, which is great, but at the same time he wants to hold that. And the Pack 43 works against armor, not so much against infantry, so again, not really well thought out there. But let's return to the fight. H-85 moving up with infantry support. Panzer IV rather on its own in a blizzard, which is not really good. You can't really see far with it. And that could, in fact, yes, there we go. In fact, allow the enemy to sneak up on it. In this case, the H-85 to sort of get a nice range boost from some nearby infantry. Making good progress on the west. Note going for the strategic point first before heading for the fuel point.
Conditions clear. The territory is out of contact.
Another mine. Lovely. And shock troops have arrived, so doctrine has been chosen. Which means either shock rifle or the terror doctrine. These Grenadiers don't need to retreat. Come on, Heinz. Oh, never mind. That Grenadier squad got wiped out. Panzer Grenadiers moving up, but they shouldn't be moving up that close. Panzer IV arriving to support. And there we go, full retreat by Sloche, abandoning the right hand side for the time being.
You need fire support? Panzer here. Enemy forces are securing
Troops standing about, not achieving much either. Rather passive at the moment. Plenty of munitions floated, again would be good for mining. Instead, that's what Sloche is doing. You could also consider just laying down some bunkers to help keep things a bit bottled up, but that's not happening either.
The enemy is attempting to steal our sector.
And there we go, Panzer IV under direct fire from the H-85, giving it veteran to 1. And a Katyusha barrage going in at the same time, bombarding the central German positions. And once more, I will say that this placement of the Pack 43 is rather Useless. Command Panzer IV is available. That could perhaps be leveraged in the right way.
Our territory.
But this Panzer IV will need reinforcement or repairs. And an incendiary barrage going down at the same time. Might as well speed this up a bit. Since not a lot is happening.
Have arrived.
Again, rather passive play. So it's definitely not getting the most out of their doctrine and the play style. The Germans aren't really much either. Railway artillery now available for the Germans. The Germans certainly have a few railway guns, though of course also armoured trains. So you probably won't see them in Communist 2. It would have been fun for a campaign mission. Also, fun fact about armoured trains: the Germans actually captured armoured trains as well. Russian and Polish had a bit of fun with those. Panzer IV in trouble. Conscripts being rushed at them. I don't think Sloche has fought that one out, but there we go. Anti-tank grenade. Panzer IV though needs to get away. Conscript score is wiped out, but at the same time he might risk this Su-85 getting a lot more veterancy, which would not be good news. Pack 43 is not even firing in the direction. It's actually within range, but he's doing nothing. I mean, come on, Heinz. At least try to make an effort. And there we go, finally turned it, but now it's much too late. Another Su-85 arriving for the Soviet Union. Panzer Grenadiers. Getting lots of Panzer Grenadiers, although I'm not entirely sure that's what he needs right now. So once more, Heinz finds himself losing most of the map and wasting units. Victory points being threatened here. Panzer IV, he needs to get away. Come on, Heinz, you're getting blasted from range. Instead, looks like he might make this Su-85 veterancy too.
Enemy has destroyed a Panzer.
That's not really a good prospect. At all. And certainly he should have pulled that Panzer IV away when it came under bombardment from two Su-85s. That was really not a situation that warranted having it stick around. And lots of troops freezing to death. Less good. Another squad of Panzer Grenadiers. I'm not entirely sure why now all of a sudden insist on spamming Panzer Grenadiers. You could of course upgrade some of them, but still he needs to actually use them. And again, Heinz is just hanging back. He's much too passive. Needs to attack, god damn it. Puts the fear of the fatherland into these Russians. Instead he's just sitting about drinking schnapps.
Our forces increase.
While his men freeze to death.
Reinforcements complete. Territory taken. Push on. We have soldiers freezing. Is that a reflection of
And we go, another Panzer Grenadier froze to death. That's a rather poor statistic. And there we go, anti-tank grenade on the Panzer IV command tank. He should have pulled it back. You should not allow Soviet infantry to get close to your tanks, yet he did. And his men continue to freeze to death. Heinz needs to work on his unit organizational skills. And there we go, the Panzer IV command tank is lost as well. Rather looks like here poor Heinz is overextending and rather trying to manage more than he can actually handle.
The enemy has broken our supply lines.
And it's now just down to a lot of panzer gunners who are going to be expensive to reinforce, in particular since most of the losses were caused by his own bloody inability to act. But there we go, still more freezing to death. Come on, Heinz, retreat! Get them out of there. Unit preservation, you really need to work on that one, actually paying attention to what's going on.
Lines of supply are disrupted.
Can't really say that's acceptable. Yeah, mine expensive. Going to speed this up a bit. Actually noting here that Sloche actually pulled back the H-35 for repairs. That is good.
Enemy forces are securing our territory. Taking fire! And the gun shield blocks.
Lots of munitions being floated as well for Heinz here. And a KV-8 heavy flamethrower tank. That's bad news. Very bad news indeed, in particular considering the sort of composition that Heinz's force has. That's going to burn a light like something really, really cheap. There we go. MG42 getting blasted to bits by the might of the Katyusha. Pumping out to Sloche or something. Now with a considerably more armoured fist, although he's also seemed to be hanging back a bit. Although it looks like the KV-8 is being prepared for some sort of flank assault. Shock troopers leading the charge, but with no support from the H-35. Of course, he wants to be a bit careful he doesn't get too close to the Pak 43 and blast as well, I suppose. Panzer Grenadier Squad. Oh, Panzer Strike handed over. Bad news. Bad news indeed. And they just seem to keep stacking up for Heinz. Very close to losing a shock trooper squad right there, but somehow managed to pull it off. Impressive. And an immediate hit on the Panzer Grenadier squad there, almost wiping out the squad.
Our territory is falling into enemy hands. Heavy tanks standing by.
KV-8 not really seeing any usage. And Heinz just seems to be becoming more and more feeble, sending out units left and right without actually any ability to take any ground, it seems. Ooh, KV-8 moved about a bit too far and actually got hit by the Pak 43. My God, it actually shot a tank. A rare occurrence in this fight, it seems. And more Katyusha. And Molotov's going nuts there on the Grenadiers, burning away half the squad. Gets veterancy free, but really needs to get out of there. What won't be getting home. Instead, Heinz just keeps pushing away. Oh, there we go, fine retreating. And another Panzer IV. I'm not entirely sure if he's grasping the situation. I don't think a single Panzer IV will have much chance now, concerning all the other losses, and of course the fact there's a veterancy to Su-85. Also tons of munitions for Sloche. So rather unfortunate usage there on both sides.
The enemy has taken our supply sector.
And of course, another problem here with Heinz just spamming Panzergun is, of course, it's going to be rather expensive for him to keep reinforcing. In particular, the way he plays and keeps on incurring heavy losses. He's pretty much crippling himself, which only really benefits his opponent. So why he insists with it is a bit beyond me.
A sector has been cut off.
And Sloche here can't seem quite to decide where he wants to hit. Common is leading a charge, but immediately being dealt with by the Panzergrenadiers and the Panzer IV. 95th Infantry Division is in dire straits. The commander rather squandering away any precious opportunity of actually winning the match, it would seem.
Okay, that's the last one.
Panzergrenadiers standing about doing nothing in the base. Wonderful, wonderful. Katyushas just seem to find blindly at anything right now, which isn't really helpful either. And Sloche also seems to have lost all interest in attacking, which is not really good either. He really shouldn't be passive. Overall, he shouldn't be passive. Yet nothing's really happening from either side at the moment. That's a bit depressing. Speeding things up a bit. Looks like the H-85s are finally seeing usage. Although he should be careful about using them like tanks like that. In fact, we just saw the Pak 43 get off a nice shot there on the H-85, almost taking it out. There we go, Soviet infantry leading the charge. Coming under heavy fire from the Panzer IV with all machine guns blazing. Panzergrenadiers doing what they can, grenades being exchanged. Molotovs loved burning poor Fritz. And there we go, railroad artillery going in here of all the spots. And a direct hit on the H-85 and the attendant combat engineers, shattering them all with a massive artillery shell. Absolutely wondrous bit of firework right there. And another hit, blowing out a huge chunk of the road. And the H-85 here is being awfully close, but thankfully the Pak 43 couldn't get any report on its position and thus shoot it. Otherwise that could have been game over for that H-85. Panzergrenadiers is leading the last brave assault, but they're awfully clammed up and he should know there's artillery waiting for him. In fact, we're seeing incendiary artillery going down on the point. Panzergrenadiers do finally spread out, otherwise there was the risk, of course, the Katyushas wiping it all out. Still, he's actually sending the Panzergrenadiers into the fire, letting them burn up. Oh my goodness. Why would you do that? And there we go, a squad was wiped out. And another wiped out. Again, Heinz needs to work on his unit preservation most desperately. Both sides do, essentially, but Heinz clearly needs it more.
Our unit count is increasing.
You really shouldn't be rushing them into an incendiary barrage like that. You should always stay out of it until it's done. There's absolutely nothing to be gained from wandering into it. Nothing. Ever. And another Panzer IV. Rather seems like just a response because, you know, he's heard Panzer IVs are great and then hasn't really thought anything beyond that. It might actually be applicable to the situation, particularly considering how he's using them and the fact that he's lost a lot of them without doing much damage. So sadly not achieving much with that. Speeding things up a bit again. Another head-on assault. And another Katyusha barrage. KV-8, interesting enough, has not really been used either. That's actually a problem for Sloche. You shouldn't call in a unit and then not use it at all. He could actually try to lead an assault here and actually have the flat pack KV-8, flank the Pak 43 with this flamethrower. Burn it away, burn it to a crisp. That could easily have been done. Instead, much too slow. And there we go, a squad wiped out. Another one, that is. And there we go, Panzer IV pretty much dead meat. Well, another one goes on the hunt for the KV-8, but looks like it's going to hit a mine. And yes, indeed, there we go. Well mined, and there we go. SU-85 swimming in to deal with the prey, and there we go. Another Panzer out of control. Pretty much a disaster at this moment, a catastrophe for the Germans.
This now belongs to the people and workers of the Soviet Union who need the money.
Grenade! What do you want?
Conscripts here.
Ready.
And yeah, that looks to be it. Katyusha's bombarding. And there we go, game over. A loss for Deutschland, a loss for Germany. A victory for the Soviet Union and the Soviet peoples. Overall, I mean, there were clearly the problems again usually come down to the same ones, which repeat every single Monday novice fight, yet never quite seem to, quite handle in for some reason. No unit preservation. I mean, if you're watching them, do again note unit preservation. It really matters a lot. Always try to work out, know when to retreat, know when to stand your ground. It really seems to be one of the harder ones, apparently, to get hold of. Also, again, aggression. Sometimes there are too many cases where they just stood about doing nothing, allowing the other side to build up. You should always try to keep up the pressure. Always keep building, always keep taking ground. And there were several times where that really didn't happen, and either players really wasted some huge opportunity. In particular, Heinz here blew a lot of chances to actually close this fight. More specifically, though, his problem was he went for the festering armor. He sort of knew, okay, I have to play defensively, but he clearly had no idea how to play defensively at all. His Pak 43 was too far removed to actually help the front line. There were no mines whatsoever, despite having plenty of munitions for what he could easily mine the roads with telemines, mine the flanks with the S-mines, yet that never happened. That really was a bad idea. No bunkers either, no nothing. That, of course, combined with the poor unit preservation, that combined with a bit of a shallow unit composition, which basically came down to grenadiers, later on panzer grenadier spam, with some panzer IV, which ultimately just got blown out of the clear up by the SU-85s. Not really well handled either there. Of course, Sloche himself also committed some mistakes at unit preservation again. Used the SU-85 several times like tanks, which is not really how they work. That's not good either. The KV-8 was pretty much wasted, not really used either. That's a problem. And he waited too long in getting a doctrine, and I almost think Terror Doctrine would have been better for him, since it could also land and use Terror and actually force the opponent to retreat. So, I mean, clearly some problems on the strategic level, some on the tactical level, and just some on, playing the game level. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed this Monday Novice fight. Hope you learned something from it. If you did, want to subscribe, tell your friends. If you didn't, send in a replay of your own. Provide some feedback in the comments. This is Imperial Dane saying cheers.